Good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. This is Ty Metalhead Weatherman. Hopefully, you guys have had a good week. It's Friday. We're finally at the end of it here, and looks like we're about at the end of Nicole. We're not really going to be talking about that in this video. We're just going to be talking about the lingering effects that she will have as she's leaving as of today. We're also going to be talking about the after effects of Winter Storm Alejandra as well, and some of the lingering effects from her. We talked about the snow totals yesterday. Not too much is really going to change from that. At this point, the snow has already stopped falling in the lower 48. So we're mainly just going to cover what's going to happen this weekend, mainly the temperature drop. So we'll go ahead and start here with the overview here. We do have a slight risk for severe weather around some of Nicole's remnants as she has merged with this cold front here. It's a very big rain event that's starting to go on around the mid-Atlantic and Northeast here. This rain is definitely going to be lingering into tomorrow, maybe even as far out as Sunday here. And then, of course, we have now a slight risk area over the Gulf Coast around Texas. And this is interestingly enough for hail. There's a pretty robust hail threat going on there. We have 10 hail reports right now according to the storm report trend. We're expecting these storms to go on for a little bit longer. There's a few discrete storms over here. Conditions are not really favorable for tornadoes in this region, so we're not worried about that. But the main threat's going to be wind and hail. There's actually a significant hail threat here too, which we'll go over right now actually. So right around San Antonio and Corpus Christi, that region is where we have our secondary slight risk. Of course, our tornado threat exists here towards Virginia Beach and Richmond. In fact, if I remember correctly, there was a tornado warning for Richmond at one point earlier today. But we'll look at the tornado threat. There's our threat here. Our wind threat exists on both slight risk, albeit a marginal one. And then, of course, our hail threat is greatest around here. And here is our significant hail threat in the that's in a little dashed black outline here. So this dashed black outline means that there is a chance for significant hail, which is basically hail greater than 2 inches in diameter. So now that we've gone over that, we aren't really going to go over the parameters. Kind of popped up last minute. We're just basically going to cover the threat for tonight because this is not going to linger into tomorrow. We're not expecting any severe weather over the weekend, which is nice, so that helps a lot. But we are expecting some pretty big time cold, and there's actually going to be a secondary system here that may cause some snow for some of us here in the southern plains. But we're going to start out with the temperatures here. We're going to start out moving this forward here, and you can see this Arctic plunge, this almost polar-esque plunge coming in here. Once we get into Saturday morning here, once we get to about 12Z, that 32-degree line is now even stretched into central Texas for some of us. There's and then of course, the further north we go, the temperatures get even colder. The coldest air of the year right now by far, starting to work its way into the northern plains here. We're getting into that 10-degree mark. Even some places are looking like they're going to be in single digits for the morning tomorrow. Keep running this forward. Cold air will retreat temporarily, but then it makes another push late into the evening tomorrow. Once we get into 12Z Sunday, now we're talking about the southeast starting to get involved here. We're also looking at the Ohio Valley getting below freezing for a lot of them. And then, of course, the Northeast hasn't really gotten into it just yet. But by Monday, you guys will be in there as well. This next wave of cold air is really sparing no one, to be honest. And here we are getting into the evening hours of Sunday and into Monday. Look at how this cold air has really started to root itself in. And this isn't even all that we could see over the next 6 hours after this. This is getting close to like midnight, I would say. 1 a.m. for depending on which region you're in. But you can clearly tell that we're gonna be dealing with a lot of cold around the entire country. Nobody's gonna be spared from that. And if you're asking how cold, we'll actually go to the Euro for this. If this will load, hopefully it will, because I've been having a lot of problems with the Euro on Pivotal, which is really surprising. Hang on a minute. Well, looks like we're getting it today. It's a miracle. Okay, so here's what we're looking like with the temperature anomaly here. We're still pretty well above average for a lot of areas around here. But this isn't going to last very long, because once we get into tomorrow morning, that warm air that's hanging around the eastern half of the country is going to be starting to fade away. And then once we get into Sunday morning, oh baby, we're already looking at some places around the southeast already 11 degrees below average. Over towards the Ozarks and the southern plains here, we're looking at some places that could be about 15, maybe even some spots 20 degrees below average. And then just when you think, okay, this little cold blast is going to start to fade away here, we have another one that comes in, and this one's stronger than the last one. Over towards the Dakotas in particular, you guys could be even 30 degrees below average in some spots, possibly. Then this next little wave of energy right here towards the southern plains here, where there's even a potential snow on the backside of that system, we have spots where we could be 25 to 30 degrees below average as well. And this is peering into Monday here, so we're going to pretty much just stop here at Tuesday. But yeah, you can see it clearly here. There is a lot of cold air coming for the entire country here. Again, no one's going to be spared, so just make sure you have your firewood, make sure you have your sweaters, your hoodies, your thermals, whatever you need to keep yourself warm. Because this is going to come in fast, and I would say hot and heavy, but yeah, it's not going to be hot. So that being said, let's go ahead and go back to the NAM here. Let's go ahead and look at our storm system right here, if we can get this to move. Okay. All right, so here we are. Here is the remnants of Nicole. Alejandro has moved out of the country at this point. We're just waiting for the model to finish loading, and here we are. Here's the next big storm system rolling through, going to cause some snow for the northwest. This little shortwave system right here could bring up a little bit of snow towards the Ohio Valley. It's just a small little band. It's like an Alberta. This actually has the look of an Alberta clipper. It's really the first one I've seen this year, which is really interesting. But right on the back side of this, here comes that cold air really starting to take over around the entire country, especially around the eastern half. We'll roll this forward here, and then here's our next little piece of energy that we have to watch. And this could be what causes our snow around the southern plains here. One last thing that we're going to also cover is the lingering wind energy that's going to be coming from both of these storms. We're going to be left over with a lot of wind here, folks, especially on the eastern half of the country. Like, you can see the winds right now, both in and offshore. We're looking at some places potentially sitting at about 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gust. This is not sustained winds, by the way. And even towards Georgia and South Carolina here, it looks like we still have plenty of wind energy lingering around here. And this isn't going anywhere. In fact, this is Nicole, and then this is the cold front that's going to be associated with Alejandra. This will come in, and then by Saturday afternoon, we're going to have a calm period, and then we're going to go right back to 20 mile per hour wind gusts throughout the day. And as the temperature drops, these winds won't be going anywhere. So another thing to note here is, come Sunday morning, these winds are still going to be gusting at 20 to 30 miles an hour, and it's going to be about 32 degrees. So the wind chill will become a big factor tomorrow. So if you're planning to go to church, just planning to go out in general on Sunday, just make sure you're extra insulated, because this wind is not going to be anything to mess with. This is great. This is great weather to get sick off of. So just make sure that you are prepared for that. But beyond that, that's really all I got for this video here. This next storm system is going to have plenty of wind energy with it as well, in the central plains too, so you guys need to be on guard as well, because those wind chills are going to be very nasty, almost kind of biting like wind chills. But that's it for this video here. If you liked what I did here, definitely drop a like. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the weather this weekend. If you have any plans, feel free to tell me in the comments as well. Also, subscribe if you haven't already. Well, I'm gonna say I'm also appreciative of 100 subs. Obviously, that's just the start for this channel. We want to get much bigger than that. So definitely keep subbing. We got some big goals for next year. I got some big stuff planned for you towards the end of this month and the start of next month. So just stay tuned for that. But anyway, this has been Tire Metalhead Weatherman. I will see you guys probably tomorrow. We'll be talking a little bit more about next week's forecast and a little bit more. But until then, you guys have a good one and enjoy the weekend.